This is Warren Redlick. We're going to talk about what happened with Tesla this week. We're going to talk about Tesla this week, including Tesla stock. We're going to talk about FSD. We've got some interesting information on FSD from Andre Karpathy. We've got, the stock going up and down is a big thing. So I like to have a new guide thing here. So if you see Elon, we're talking about Tesla stock and we're talking about FSD. If you see Optimus, we're going to talk about Optimus. We're going to talk about Starlink. We're going to talk about Elon's economic impact on the United States and maybe on the world. We'll talk a little bit about Blue Origin landing as rocket booster. Congratulations to them. And then if you see the Terra Dragon, we're going to talk about terawatts. What's it take to build a terawatt data cluster, AI data center in the future? And maybe we'll slip a couple other things in with each thing that we talk about there. But I just wanted to give you that background. Elon did speak with Ron Barron. So if you get a chance, I think Sawyer Merritt posted the entire video on X. Hello, everybody. So you can watch the entire video. I didn't find, number one, the sound quality wasn't good. Elon's mic had problems. I didn't think Elon said a lot that was noticeable. He said a couple of things that stood out. There's a bunch of clips on X with people pointing out things he said. But I didn't think there was anything in there that needed to be brought to attention this week. But, if you want to see it, look at Sawyer Merritt's account. He's got the whole video, and I watched the whole thing maybe twice. That's how I am. So, quick thing, just to lighten the mood a little bit. This was tonight. We were at a restaurant in a place called Ao Nang, Thailand. And, we ate at a different restaurant. We walked around to the beach. We were walking back to our car. We stopped by this Indian restaurant. We noticed the chicken tikka masala, and I'm reading the menu. And instead of marinating the meat, apparently he urinates in the tandoor. If it's up to me, and this is literally, I just saw this picture is on my phone. I restrained myself from laughing out loud, but I thought this was funny. So probably not going to go to this restaurant at all. If we do, definitely not ordering the tikka masala. I do think it might be a Groiper dish. That's because the Groipers don't like the Indians, So let's talk about Tesla stock. The stock is down if you're looking recently. I think this is over 1 month, and you can see we had a peak at around 468, and you're like, oh no, the stock has fallen to $404 a share. I'm like, how long have you been on this ride? I remember I think it was actually 108 that it dipped to, or a little lower than 108, maybe 104. I've been on this ride for much longer than the 5 years that this chart shows. But if you look, like we're doing pretty good, right? If you're a Tesla shareholder and you don't like the ups and downs, we're still pretty much up. So don't panic about the stock falling to 404. We're up 150% over the past. People will say, oh, Tesla stock hasn't done anything over the past 5 years. Well, it's done a lot over the past 5 years. One of the things it's done is risen 150%. So just, if you are a long-term investor, don't let the bumps in the road freak you out. And I do want to mention, if you are a YouTube channel member, if you are a subscriber on the X platform, not just following me on X, but a subscriber on the X platform, a paid subscriber, if you support me on Patreon, if you support me on the Daily Lie, then which is warrenredlick.locals.com, then I started a series of videos on Tesla option strategy. The first one is up. So please consider supporting me on one of those platforms or becoming a YouTube channel member here on YouTube or a subscriber on X and check out that video. I made one. I expect to make at least one more, maybe two more. We'll see. The other thing about this, I see people playing timing games and talking about timing games. I just want to point out, if you invested in Apple back in 2007 when the iPhone came out, and 4 years later, you saw the Apple stock selling for $12 a share. Quadrupled. You got a 4x, and you sold. You missed a 23x. Right, now, the other side of this, if you said, well, I'm not going to buy now in 2007. I think there's going to be a big run-up later. I'm going to wait for the big run-up. Well, then you missed the first 4x. So I'm just telling you, you have to, this is not financial advice, of course. You have to make your own decisions about how you're going to invest money. For me, I don't play timing games. If I have free cash, I buy Tesla stock. I have started buying a little bit of NVIDIA stock, so it's a little more complicated, but I'm like 96% Tesla. When you count the options, I would say the options are like a higher stake in the game, so it's probably more than 96% Tesla. Not including cash, by the way. I have some cash. Not a lot. I have more Nvidia stock than I have cash. Um, so I have a small amount of cash. So I just wanted to say this, I'm looking at Tesla stock. We're around $400 a share now. I don't know when the run-up's going to happen. Now, I started back when it was like $10 a share in today's, in the pre-split world, right? Compared to in the post-split pricing. So I'm already up like crazy. But just the idea that you're going to pick a point on this chart and where you're going to buy and sell is like there's massive FOMO here. There should be massive FOMO here that if you sell at a certain point and you miss the run up, and just to touch on that, well, quickly, I talked to Grok about this, Grok Expert, which is like one short of Grok Heavy. I decided, I want to have a lengthy conversation with Grok about this. And the rough conclusion was, I'm not confident that Tesla stock is going to go up much until maybe late 2026. That's not to say it won't double. Okay, it might double. It might go up a lot. But the real run up when I'm looking at, real increases is like $2,500 a share, $4,000 a share. You're looking for an 8x or a 10x. I don't think that starts until late 2026. And it's not that it shouldn't go up, just like with Apple, it should have been higher. Like investors should, and I'm including myself in this, investors should have seen this steep rise coming. Right? At some point along the way, you should have bought up faster than the stock was rising, right? Because you see, this is where it's heading. I want to get in, and the value, the discounting, like, all right, it's trading at 275 now. If you could have bought it, a few years ago at 200 and you didn't, what were you doing? Right? And there's just so much, there's a really steep rise here. It goes back down to like, I don't know, 40 or something like that before the really steep rise started. When it was at 40, it should have been 100. And this is the thing, is like investors, my theory is that investors are not going to really start buying Tesla stock. I'm talking about the people who don't understand Tesla, not like the lunatics like me, but the broader Wall Street types and the broader Main Street types who are buying stocks, the Buffetts or whatever. They're not going to buy it until they see the numbers, in the financials. And I don't think we're going to see the financials till Q3 2026 at best, which is October 2026. So I'm hesitant to believe that the stock is going to rise much faster. Again, I think we could see it doubling. I think some portion of the market might see it and bring the stock up a little bit. But I just want to hit that point. Hello, David. Hello, everybody. Forlin. Yeah, Kathy Wood has to sell as it goes up. It's part of the conditions of the account of her fund. And I just wanted to mention here, Bill Gates dumped 65% of his Microsoft position for a total of $8.8 billion. What? And John from Tesla Owner Silicon Valley speculated that Bill is covering his Tesla short. Elon said if Gates hasn't fully closed out the crazy short position he's held against Tesla for 8 years, he had better do so soon. Does Elon know something? Because Elon knows a lot about the company, but is something coming that's going to cause the stock to rise sooner than late 2026? I'm not saying it's not going to double, right? But the real rise, the 8x that I think is coming, the 8x, 10x, and more that's coming, I don't think that starts until late 2026, unless there's something coming with Tesla that we haven't seen yet. And I don't know what that is. So I don't know, and we don't know what he means by soon. Does soon, is that Elon time, like, 2 years? Or is it Elon time 2 weeks? We don't know. But I just think that's relevant, worth noting. And I wanted to hit on just a little bit of it's political, but it's about Tesla stock. CalPERS and CalSTRS, these are pension boards that control the pensions of California state employees and maybe state teachers, voted against Elon's compensation package. And this was a post from a woman who's running for some position in California, maybe Lieutenant Governor of California, Fiona or something like that. Alexandra Mers called her out on it. Alexandra and I don't often agree. We agreed that we should have her on like a podcast so she can settle our argument on whether Tesla should invest in XAI. But one of her reasons, one of the boards, these pension fund they're political funds, right? They're controlled by Democrats, right? One of the claimed reasons was that the performance award, that Elon's compensation package lacked clear long-term performance measures to justify such an extraordinary award. I mean, you should resign if you're going to say something this stupid. This is absolutely absurd for you to say that it lacked clear long-term performance measures. I've never seen clearer long-term performance measures. Is the video choppy for anyone else, or is it just me? I'm getting like, I guess it's fine. This is fine. Stream is healthy. Okay. I don't know. For some reason, it's looking choppy over here. So, that over concentration of control in a single executive. You think Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have an over concentration of control in Facebook? There's all these companies where the founders have outsized voting shares, right? They have like their voting shares have 10x the vote of other shares, right? Elon doesn't have that. And there's an over-concentration control in a single executive. This is common with founder CEOs. You think Jensen Huang doesn't have an outside? Thank you, guys. You think Jensen Huang doesn't have over-concentration of control in NVIDIA, which is the largest company in the world? The problem with Apple was when Steve Jobs didn't have sufficient control. Serious governance weaknesses, including insufficient board independence and oversight. It's just nonsense. The unprecedented size of the package, which exceeded $50 billion. What? I mean, I think the present day value of the package might be $50 billion. If Elon nails all the awards, it's worth $1 trillion. And then concerns about workplace safety, labor practices, and operational risk. What are you talking about? Which factor into long-term... The reasons are just awful. And these people can never defend themselves. Like if she came on a podcast with, I don't care whether it's me or Alexandra Mers or Jeff Lutz, she could not, limiting factor, Jordan Giesecke, Bradford Ferguson. I don't think she could defend this with any of us asking her questions. There's no way she could defend herself, and any of these board members could defend themselves voting against the comp. And for me, like, it's really simple. If you think you've invested in a company that has governance weaknesses, over concentration of control in a single executive, why are you like, if you're managing something like, I don't know, billion, maybe it might even be $1 trillion, some really massive investment for the California investors, and you have billions of dollars in a stock in a company where you think there's an over concentration of control, you think there's serious governance weaknesses, you think the compensation package is improper, you have concerns, why are your funds investing in this company at all? The California board and all these people who voted against the compensation package and used reasoning like this, how can you justify to your investors that you're invested in a company that has these problems? Like, why haven't you sold the stock in the first place? It doesn't, like, if you have these criticisms, you should have sold this stock. On the other hand, if you recognize that if you're holding the stock because you think maybe this guy knows what he's doing, and maybe he has a plan to 7x the company. Like, you don't want to miss out on a 7x, right? Because to go to $8.5 trillion market cap, you're looking at a 7x. So a boomer does say it's choppy. Okay. I'm getting little freezes, but the YouTube is telling me it's good. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so let's turn to Andrej Karpathy and FSD. So Andrej Karpathy, for those who don't know, was one of the leaders of Tesla's FSD team, autopilot team, AI team. He was there for several years. He left. I think he briefly went to OpenAI. Now I think he just wants to make instructional videos for students to learn how to do AI. And he probably banked enough that, money's irrelevant to him. And Elon has been pretty clear he wants him back. So I took delivery of a beautiful new shiny hardware for Tesla Model X today. He didn't say whether it was a plaid or not. So I immediately took it out for an FSD test drive, a bit like I used to do almost daily for 5 years. So he was running on the team for 5 years. Basically, I'm amazed. Now, this is a guy who doesn't work for Tesla anymore. Doesn't work for Elon. Doesn't need a job. He's probably worth $100 million. I don't know, $50, $100 million. How much Tesla stock did he accumulate over the years? And he got in early. Oh, Larry's here. Larry, I'm going to be, your ears are going to be burning if you leave, because I'm going to be talking about you a little later on. So Karpathy, this is a guy he doesn't have a stake in this. Like, he has friends at Waymo, he has friends at OpenAI, and he is saying I'm amazed it drives really, really well, smooth, confident, noticeably better than what I'm used to on Hardware 3, my previous car, and eons ahead of the version I remember driving, years ago. Had some really, really positive things to say about it. There's another post. He said, I'm unreasonably excited about self-driving. It will be the first technology in many decades to visibly terraform outdoor physical spaces and way of life. Less parked cars, less parking lots. The Now You Know guys did a great video about what's going to happen to parking lots when the robotaxis, end up taking over. We were all premature in our expectations for this, but less parked cars. And thank you for joining as a member, Larry. Much greater safety for people in and out of cars, less noise pollution, more space reclaimed for humans. Human brain, this is something he's talked about before. Human brain cycles and attention capital freed up from lane following to other pursuits. He talked about when you're driving a car, a lot of the time when you're driving a car, you just, I thought he called it the line following game. You just sort of like, you're following the lines in the road and keeping the car between the lines. And it's like, our brains are much more capable than that. It's like a waste of our brain power to be focused on that. I believe he was using, he was not using V14. Mr. Sevilla asked that question. I think Elon pumped him and says, you need to get V14. So maybe he has V14 by now. Cheaper, faster program will deliver physical items and goods. It won't happen overnight, but there will be the era before and the era after. This is a guy who knows more about FSD than any of us, right? He knows more about FSD than maybe almost anyone, and self-driving in general, the self-driving car challenge, AI. This is one of the leaders, the thought leaders in the AI world. And he is saying this is going to be a massive change in everything. He's not saying it's here yet, but there will be the era before self-driving and the era after. It's going to be massive change. So, Larry, you're coming up. We're on the Optimus section, so we're going to be talking about Optimus. We're also going to slip in Larry's comments about Elon's impact on Tesla and on the American economy, the global economy. So, what's something that I noticed? So, for those who don't know, I lived in Japan 30 years ago for a year. I lived in Japan for 90 days. I visited Japan a lot. I probably spent 16 months of my life in Japan. I speak Japanese, watashi wa waranto tomoshimasu, that kind of stuff. Japan is aging. They have substantial labor shortages, including in places for taxi drivers. So my wife and I were in Miyazaki, Japan. We went to this nice spot, and then we wanted to get back, and we couldn't get a taxi. But there's apps, and the apps were like, no. And we found a restaurant. I think we had just eaten in a restaurant, and the restaurant called us a taxi. But like we just didn't have a way to get a taxi, and it took a while. And Miyazaki's a fairly large city, right? So you have the big cities: Tokyo, Osaka, Nagoya. Maybe you can include Fukuoka in that list. There's certain big cities that still have pretty adequate taxi service, most places, and lots of taxi drivers. But when you get to the smaller cities and then the towns, there's a shortage of taxis. So the opportunity for Optimus, for Cybercab, and to help it, particularly like older people living in small towns, helping them get places. If you think about Cybercab for a minute, as long as you're not in a wheelchair, it's low riding. It's going to be easy for older people to get in. Don't forget, Japanese people are short, so it's not going to be as hard to like get into something that's low. Maybe we'll have Robovan or whatever they're going to call. I think they haven't decided what to call Robovan. Huge labor shortages in a variety of ways. They've been bringing in people from other countries. There's a lot of people upset in Japan. They're now cutting back on bringing in people from other countries. So Optimus could be a great answer for that. And I think that Japan has an opportunity. I think they're going to blow it. But I think Japan has an opportunity to partner with Tesla and open an Optimus factory in Japan. It's using 4680 cells. Panasonic makes the 4680. Japan has a spectacular supply chain. It has very, very talented engineers. It's actually one of the things I noticed when I was in Japan is a lot of young university engineering graduates struggle to get good jobs because there just aren't enough jobs there. And the world's about to change very radically. Japan could benefit a lot from Robotaxi and from Optimus, and Japan should get in on building that. Japan has the industrial base, particularly in a place like Nagoya, but not just Nagoya, to really... Hiroshima has the remnants of Mazda. Mazda's still there. There's a lot of places in Japan that have a lot of strong industrial base and a lot of highly talented Japanese engineers, great, very hardworking people. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I would love to see Japan do it. I think Elon replied to this post that Optimus will be great in Japan. So, and then just on a personal note, I posted I think this is a little bit of like something motivating me, and I want to encourage you. I made a list of what I accomplished this week. I actually got some stuff done this week. And I'm sort of thinking I need to make a list. This is what I need to get done next week. And I want to encourage you guys, think about how you're living your life. What are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? And what things could you do this coming week? And make a list. See how much of them you can get done. And don't hold yourself too harshly. Don't punish yourself too harshly if you don't get as much done as you wanted to get done. But I just think this is something, this is from Elon's Doge days, that when they took over Doge, they were sending emails out to government employees. What did you get done this week? And that was like very upsetting to government employees because they don't get anything done. But I do think this is a valuable thing to think about in how you get your life done. And I did actually have a good week. I got a lot done. And then just a quick personal note. This is my blood pressure. I'm almost 60 years old. Okay. When I was 18, my blood pressure was 120/70. For a long time, my blood pressure was, because of my cardio, primarily because I do a lot of intense cardio. When I say a lot, I mean like once or twice a week. I do intense cardio, but it's really intense. And I did a lot of mild cardio building up to the point where I could do this intense cardio. This is a spectacular blood pressure level for someone 59 years old who's honestly a little bit overweight still. I'm trying to work on the weight. Maybe the strength training helps a little bit. I do take one drug that isn't primarily intended for blood pressure, but does have a good effect on blood pressure, but not enough it would move the thing by 5 points, not by 15 points. And it might not move it at all. So my resting pulse on a good day is 50. So just encourage you, do some cardio, do some strength training. I don't care if it's 30 minutes a week, just get started. I haven't measured my VO2 max. I would guess it's over 40. So let's turn to Larry. So I don't know if Larry's still here. Thank you for your support, Larry. Japan has canceled plans for battery factory, but going ahead with USA factory. I don't know. I think I'll have to look at that. But they could make a battery factory, right? It's not hard. So I think it was, what's her name? Billie Eilish, the singer, who said, Elon should do more. If you have all that wealth, you should do something with it. And this is one of those things where, like, all right, you're a singer, you've got an entourage, you're creating a couple hundred jobs, right? And maybe you give some money away. But people don't appreciate the impact. And I just thought I would encourage you, look for this post. It's an article on X. Look for this article on X and just bookmark it. You can see I bookmarked it here. So you have it, you can get back to it when you need it. Because you're going to see people who are going to crap on Elon and say Elon doesn't do enough, he doesn't help out, he doesn't give charity, whatever. None of that's true, by the way. But Larry's larger point is, he should be valued on what he does for the economy. So he is a job-creating, tax-paying, economy-boosting force through his companies Tesla, SpaceX, XAI, the Boring Company, and Neuralink. Isn't there one more? I forget. Musk has funneled hundreds of billions into American pockets over the past 5 years. This isn't abstract Wall Street stuff. It's real money circulating in communities from factory floors in Texas to engineering hubs in California. And he breaks it down with hard numbers. So, again, go on X, bookmark this, and learn it, and be ready when you have conversations with people and they start crapping on Elon. His companies have paid out a staggering $110 billion in salaries over 5 years. Now, I think we're going back to 2004 or 2008. So he's only going back 5 years. His companies have paid out over $100 billion. That doesn't include, I think he mentions that a little bit later. That's the employees. That doesn't include the supply chain. I don't think he's including the supply chain. I think he talks about the supply chain later in this post, in this article. It doesn't include, he does talk about these things a little bit. Like, if you have a food truck that's outside a factory, or if you have 100 food trucks outside the factory, if you have restaurants outside the factory or near the factory, if you have housing that's built to house the workers, there's a lot of jobs created, a lot of wealth that's created as spin-off of companies this big. SpaceX and Tesla in particular are that big. XAI and X are growing that big. Boring Company and Neuralink will get that big. Starlink is going to be a separate company soon, I think, spinning massive amounts of cash, generating a lot of value for a lot of people. So anyway, this cash, it supports over 200,000 workers at peak, from welders building Cybertrucks to coders dreaming up Mars rockets. It's not just high-flying executives. Average pay hovers around $160,000. People will tell you, oh, Tesla workers don't make that much money. Yeah. Average pay hovers around $160,000 at Tesla, keeping families housed, kids in school, and local diners buzzing. And the paychecks ripple out because workers spend on groceries, homes, vacations, restaurants. Maybe it's, tutoring, whatever for their kids, all kinds of things. And then taxes. Musk's empire chips in big on taxes. Employees alone shelled out $31.8 billion in income and payroll taxes, including funding schools, roads, and Social Security. It's like bankrolling the entire U.S. space program twice over. This is brilliant work, Larry. On the corporate side, the company's paid $5.2 billion in income taxes and in payroll taxes for employers. And I think I forget how much Elon paid in taxes one year. He paid more than anyone has ever paid. He spreads wealth to U.S. suppliers. Tesla alone dropped $166 billion on American vendors for batteries, chips, and steel, propping up factories in Michigan and Nevada. SpaceX with its Buy American ethos added $7 billion. XAI, $173 billion funneled to thousands of small and mid-sized firms. Billie Eilish, what have you done? All these people crapping on Elon, what have you done? XAI has spent about $9 billion in the build out of their data center, with the $40 to $60 billion targeted for Colossus over the next 2 years. And don't forget, they're talking about a terafab. The terafab is going to be a massive investment. I talked about that in a previous video. Check out my channel for the video on terafab. I believe the terafab is going to be a more than $100 billion investment in the United States. And that's assuming there's only one. There will be one for the start. So it's just a big picture, $338 billion engine and counting. So I wanted to thank Larry for posting that. Encourage people to bookmark that and follow up with it. Let me just look at the chat for a second. Starlink is lower monthly than my current provider. I will switch. Okay. So talking about Starlink. This is a rant. I ranted on X about this. I don't think I ranted that long. So SpaceX has Starlink in many countries. And Thailand, I'm in Thailand. For those who don't know, I'm in Krabi, Thailand, southern Thailand. I've been in Thailand, mostly in Thailand, off and on. I'm still a nomad, but I've been in Thailand for almost 2 years now. Yeah, we're in 23 months with like a month break here, weeks here, there, whatever. The Digital Economy and Society Ministry has rejected a proposal from SpaceX to provide Starlink low-orbit satellite internet services in Thailand. This is a complaint about Thailand. Okay, now I love Thailand. I think Thailand is a wonderful country. It has a lot going for it, but they are condemning themselves. They are condemning their people. They are condemning their economy to being a backwater. So that basically they don't want SpaceX to operate 100% wholly owned. And SpaceX's position is the Trump administration requires us, because it's a secured technology, high security technology, they can't have co-owners. I don't know whether it's true or not. That's what SpaceX said, and I tend to believe it. And the thing that got me was this guy said, I think it's in the second post, no matter how good, he said even high quality satellite service could significantly affect existing operators. No matter how good the Starlink system is, we must consider the entire ecosystem. It will not just fill gaps in underserved areas, but could alter the entire market structure. So let's be clear about this. Starlink has been in the Philippines for 2.5 years. They haven't altered the market structure. Minimal or no damage to their telecom companies. They're in Malaysia wide open. They're in Indonesia wide open. They're in Vietnam with a pilot program of up to 600,000 customers. And there's no problem. These are Southeast Asian partners. They're part of ASEAN. These are the 4 other big countries, not including Singapore, which is only 5 million population, but a big economy. Singapore has some sort of like limited trial of Starlink, but Thailand has 0 Starlink. It's not allowed. And Thai government is screwing the country's tech future. If you're a tech company, do you want to invest in a country that's got a government this backward? And just a really simple example of this is like we're opening a cafe. Okay, now our cafe is not mission critical, cafe and co-working space, but we want to have gigabit Ethernet for one of the things we want. Like it's a high tech cafe, the co-working space at least. We want people to have high bandwidth internet, so we're gonna have gigabit Ethernet. Gigabit internet or high-speed internet, whatever it's going to be. And they have good, the existing providers offer good packages. They're reasonably priced. But if you want backup, like if there's going to be some kind of crisis and the regular stuff is going to go out, you want backup, Starlink's a great backup. I want Starlink, right? And I'm like, it's not mission critical for me. Now imagine you're a business where your internet access was mission critical and it goes down and you don't have the Starlink back, and it's like $50 a month for Starlink Mini. Like, how much is it to have that kind of backup? I wouldn't know anything about the VPNs, Jim. Wouldn't know anything about that. Yeah, the video is choppy. That's because I don't have Starlink. um, by the way, if the video is choppy for you, as best I can tell from YouTube, the stream health is fine, so it might be on your end. Although I'm seeing occasional choppiness on my end as well. So I just think this is a terrible thing for Thailand to be this backward. Loosely related, I'm going to connect this in a second. Blue Origin successfully launched the New Glenn rocket and brought the booster back and landed it on a ship. So congratulations. This is it's 9 years and about 11 months after SpaceX did it first. The first time, I mean, I think SpaceX's first one was on land, but the first time that anybody else has landed an orbital rocket booster, and it took them almost 10 years. This is the lead that SpaceX has in reusing rockets. And, RW Hirsch, send me a DM on X if you're verified. If not, my email is wredlick@gmail.com. We'll see if we can meet up. I may or may not be around, but if we can meet up, let's meet up. If you're coming to Thailand, send me a DM on X. Become verified, send me a DM. Or send me an email if you have my email, and we'll see if we can meet up. Yeah, it's good to see you, Larry. So, it's great. Now, the comical thing was Rugby Lawyer, some Elon hater, says Elon Musk right now, after witnessing New Glenn's successful launch and landing, realizing that government contracts will now leave SpaceX to sign up with Blue Origin. Blue Origin's had one successful reusable rocket launch. But it's not even reusable. They haven't reused the booster yet. They just recovered the booster. They haven't reused a booster yet. SpaceX has done it they've had 500 successful launches. I think they've reused boosters 400 times. They're a long way away. 25th of November, you'll be in Bangkok. Depending on how long you'll be there, Karsten, I'm going to be there. I'm speaking at an event in Bangkok on the 30th. And we'll be there. I think we're arriving on the 28th. So, anyway, he says this. It's and Elon haters, when they find out, this is my response. Elon haters, when they find out SpaceX makes far more money from Starlink than they make from government launches. SpaceX is not dependent on government launches. There was a moment where Trump and Elon were fighting, and Elon said, "Fine, we'll end the government contracts. We'll stop launching for the government." And the government freaked out because the government needs SpaceX. I think Blue Origin won't have to compete on price. If they are an alternative provider, the government will give them some launches. But how long is it going to take Blue Origin to scale to doing 130 launches a year, 100 launches a year? 5 years? Are they gonna scale to launching 10 launches next year? I doubt it. Right? I'm rooting for them. I want them to succeed. I want Rocket Lab to succeed. I want, Terra, what is it? Terran? I want Terran to succeed. I want all the launch companies to succeed. So a lot of room for others to succeed. But in terms of scale, once Starship is launching in volume, it's going to be ridiculous. And are they bringing back the second stage? Because it looks like SpaceX is pretty close to bringing back the second stage. So anyway, let's go back to Optimus for a second. This is fresh. Elon responded to this a little while ago, saying exactly. So Gavin Baker is a sophisticated investor. There's this guy Jim Chanos who crapped on Optimus, saying what's really ridiculous is that Tesla is an AI robotics leader. You can quantify just how little Tesla is actually spending on AI for the long term. It's below $3 billion. I think he's talking about CapEx, that they're not spending anywhere near the CapEx on AI that these other companies are. And Gavin Baker just responded. He posited that Tesla's relatively low CapEx meant they were not a serious competitor in real world AI and robotics. It's exactly the wrong way to look at it. Tesla's inference definitionally happens in the car, so their customers are effectively paying for the inference compute CapEx, which is now probably the majority of hyperscaler CapEx spend. We've talked about this. James Douma talked about this, and he said that inference compute is probably 90 to 95% of AI compute. Like the computing resources that go into doing things, 5 or 10% training, 90-95% inference. And Tesla, when we buy a Tesla car, we're paying for the inference compute ourselves. Tesla's capex might be an order of magnitude higher if they had to synthetically generate relevant driving data in a data center. Customer subsidized vertical integration is beautiful. This is also why at some point Tesla customers will be able to put their cars into a pool of distributed edge compute and earn money when the car is not driving. There can be a big inference compute cloud. Tesla fleet is the world's largest, most distributed content distribution network for AI, and only AI is it obviously can't cache content in cars. I'm not so sure about that. Is a real possibility. BYD will have a similar opportunity. I don't think BYD has the inference hardware in the cars yet. I follow BYD reasonably closely, and we see BYD cars all the time. I don't think they have anything close to Tesla's inference compute in the car. Beyond the significant inference cost advantage, Tesla has the second largest coherent Hopper cluster behind only xAI in the world for pre-training. You only need one coherent cluster if it is large enough. And then he goes on. No one's able to match the xAI and Tesla clusters from a coherence, speed, and cost perspective. This is why Jensen described their data center design and execution as superhuman. Like the guy who runs NVIDIA, the largest company in the world, is describing Tesla's operations as superhuman with AI. Tesla also has significant data advantage for training chinchilla their relative capital efficiency as a result of all these advantages is likely to matter versus robotics and FSD competitors who are less capital efficient. If you follow Tesla, Elon is very focused on capex efficiency. He always has been. Cost per token is everything. Google's the lowest cost producer of LM tokens, but Tesla is the lowest cost producer of tokens that matter for FSD and robotics. AI is the first time in my career that being the low-cost producer has mattered as token quantity effectively drives quality in a reasoning world. Tesla might very well be outcompeted by an FSD competitor. Unlikely from my perspective, anything is possible, but this will not happen because of their relative capex spend. If LLM inference happened at the edge on phones and PCs with FSD, hyperscaler capex would be much lower. Jim is a smart guy. Jim Chanos is a long-time anti-Elon hating Tesla short. But strange to me that anyone is focused on AI as a bubble, given the extremely obvious quantum and nuclear bubbles. Okay. Anyway, I just thought that was important to see. And then let's see. Don't forget the like button. After years of working at Giga Nevada, I have approximately $42,000 worth of company stocks. We definitely have room for improvement. Come help us with our new mission. Thank you, Jay Rockerstein. Occasional Warren still shots. All right. So Larry says just about 10 years since first Falcon 9 landed. SpaceX returned the Starship booster much larger than New Glenn to launch pad. Yeah, people like, well, Starship hasn't put a payload in orbit yet. They could have if they wanted to. They deliberately chose launch profiles that would not go orbital. If you think they could go to 27,000 kilometers per hour, if you think they couldn't have put that into orbit if they wanted to, obviously they could have. They chose not to put it into an orbital profile because they were testing. It was a test launch. Yeah, Jim Chanos is he's closing his fund. I think Motorhead sort of like disappeared his account for a little while there too. There's something weird going on there. When do we see real Optimus work, lawn maintenance, laundry, etc.? So my prediction, just responding to William here, my prediction is that we're not going to see Optimus do meaningful work outside of the insides of Tesla until 2027 at the earliest. They're going to start manufacturing Optimus at some scale in 2026. It's going to be kept in-house. We're not going to see the AI5 chip. That's something I didn't include here, but Elon said the AI5 chip isn't really coming to 2027. Should have included that. So the AI5 chip isn't coming, and that's the chip that's really going to drive Optimus going next level on being able to understand the real world. And then AI6 after that, which is maybe a year or so after that. I think it's 130 launches, Mark, isn't it? I think they're on pace for 130 launches in 2025. I could be wrong. I don't know what Carson says Motorhead, D. Einhorn. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know that that's correct. I don't know that that's wrong. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about, we're on the Terra Dragon now. Just had fun with Grok Imagine and made this image. So Please play with Grok Imagine. It's a lot of fun. Um, Elon has talked about terawatt data centers. He's not the only one talking about terawatt data centers. This is really relevant when you think about NVIDIA. I'm working on a video about NVIDIA, and I'm working about on a so these slides will probably appear again in my NVIDIA video. I'm doing a presentation in 2 weeks about NVIDIA to an audience of Thai investors. I did present it to them at the same group before about Tesla, and Tom Nash is going to be presenting to them about Palantir. I may mention Palantir briefly in that presentation. I still don't understand Palantir. No offense to Palantir. But these are the current largest AI data centers. I think most of these are not really online. Nobody's really at a gigawatt yet. And Elon is talking about terawatt. I think Tesla XAI is getting close to a terawatt to a gigawatt. Some others may be getting close to a gigawatt. I think Meta's data center is getting close to a gigawatt, but nobody's at a gigawatt yet. If you go to a terawatt, it's 1,000x. So then the question is, how do you do 1,000x the power? How do you do 1,000x? How do you get the chips for 1,000x? A lot of people are talking about this terawatt. Siraj Raval says we're entering the age of terawatt data centers. He spent 9 hours inside a nuclear reactor startup building the solution, right? Where's the energy come from? Maybe it comes from nuclear. I think, not in my slides, I think that Tesla or Elon is going to build out massive solar, massive ground solar. And I remember when I posted that, I think Elon said, what gives you that idea? So coyly. So I think there is a plan within Tesla to, maybe outside of Tesla, but to massively scale ground solar. I think using Optimus to help build out the ground solar fields. That's my theory. Or maybe there's some Chinese robots that build out ground solar fields. So Jordan Giesecke, limiting factor, talking about 1 terawatt of compute. He's got a couple of videos on this topic. 1 terawatt of compute, you have a chip bottleneck, you have an electricity generation bottleneck, you have permitting issues, all these other things. Elon is now, he talked to Ron Barron. If you go back to the interview he just had, he's talked about they have a plan to launch 100 gigawatts of AI data center satellites into orbit per year. I don't think starting this year. I think that might be 3 or 4 years away. But 100, again, the biggest AI data center we have is 1 gigawatt. And Elon's talking about running 100 gigawatts a year in space. You don't have to worry about permits other than getting launch permits. You don't have to, and maybe if you start making the satellites on the moon, then you don't have to worry about getting launch permits from Earth, unless there's some sort of moon regulatory body that's controlling launches because they're worried about the noise pollution. I don't know. Kobayashi letter. We're witnessing a modern day gold rush. There's now $40 billion worth of U.S. data centers under construction, up 400% since 2022. Value of U.S. data centers under construction will soon exceed office buildings. Byproduct of this is a major energy shortage. Where's the energy going to come from? You're going to need solar to roll out. Mark Leibowitz, in a gold rush, don't pan for gold, sell blue jeans and shovels to miners. Global use of electricity by data centers will reach about 1,800 terawatt hours by 2040. I think this is a massive underestimate. Enough to power 150 million U.S. homes for a year. Elon talked about this in a technology race. The company that innovates fastest wins. All you need are a billion AI chips, a terawatt of power, and 100 million robots. A billion AI chips, a terawatt of power, and 100 million robots. Okay, so we don't think they're going to hit 100 million Optimus robots till around 2030 or later. Probably later than 2030. Terawatt of power. Well, if you do 100 gigawatts in space, it's going to take 10 years to get there. 100 gigawatts a year, that's going to take 10 years to get there. Is he going to do massive ground solar? A billion AI chips. Well, that's the terafab. There's a lot coming here. If you're looking at the future of Tesla and you're thinking, where's this company going long term? Apple has just come out with a new product, which is like a loop that goes around your neck that holds your iPhone. Right? Steve Jobs is long gone. Tim Cook's about to step down and he's handing off this, they make money, but are they innovating for the future? Come on. Kapkun Kop. So this, do you want a leader who thinks big? Or do you want leadership that thinks about how can we monetize whatever we've got because we don't have any innovative ideas left? And then Elon had posted this a while ago, been thinking about the fastest way to bring a terawatt of compute online. This is roughly equivalent to all electrical power produced in America today. He just talked with Ron Barron about this. I think America uses, on average, about 500 gigawatts. This is not gigawatt hours. This is the average amount of energy that's being used at a given moment. Electricity that's being used at a given moment is about half a terawatt, 500 gigawatts. So, there's peaks that are higher, and if you use megapacks, you can sort of capture the peak energy generation and spread it out. Although then you have other issues that come with that. XAI was talking about building terawatt scale compute. This is back in May. Elon says a terawatt of computer, you're not really trying. I mean, these are long-term goals that very few people are serious about. Again, I want to mention, I'm talking about, I got a couple of videos for paying supporters on Tesla's options strategy. So if you are a YouTube channel member, if you are a subscriber on the X platform, if you support me on the Daily Lie, which is warrenredlich.locals.com, or on Patreon, you get access to these videos. And I've done one, and I expect to do a couple more. All right, let's go to the chat. We're almost done. Massive ground solar will only work if you have carbon or nuclear base level power generation to back it up. Balancing these resources makes a massive solar farm unlikely in the near term. I think the answer to that, Larry, is if you massively deploy megapacks. If you massively deploy megapacks and other battery backup. This is what they said in the Master Plan Part 3, that they did not require nuclear. I think nuclear is a good base load. I think that we already have a pretty good base load of other energy sources. So that stuff's already there. I don't know if we need more of it. You need massive amounts of megapacks, mega block, and maybe some other companies come along and help support that. Do they have Tesla energy in Thailand? You can get Tesla solar and Powerwall, but it's ridiculously overpriced here. Yes, Gavin, Elon is funny. Apple's no longer. And when will Grok help Tesla and SpaceX design a new Starship and new Optimus? I think that we are probably a few years from Grok being significantly helpful in designing. And I don't know that we need a new Starship. Starship is already there. Optimus is already there. The improvements that are needed are already there. There's a lot of good things happening. Australian megapacks paid for themselves in about 18 months and now crank money. So Ice Wendigo says all roofs and infrastructure can be solar and make solar farms obsolete. It's a nice idea. I think the problem is that the cost of putting solar on roofs is much more expensive than the cost of buying cheap land and deploying solar at scale on the ground. There's just a lot of empty ground. China is building massive solar farms on the ground. I love the solar roof idea. When I build a house, we're going to have a solar roof on it. I do see a lot of solar roofs here in Thailand, but the implementation of roofs on solar roofs is much more complicated than an implementation of ground solar. And if you can find cheap land, it's easier that way. My Tesla price target for end of November. I don't do short-term price targets. Whatever, end of November is 2 weeks away. Whatever the price is today, that's my price target for the end of the month. I don't even play that game. But if you want me to play that game, any asset, what's the price today? 2 weeks from now, the price today is the best guess. That's just I don't do short term. I don't even think short term like that. 2 weeks, who cares? How long would it take Tesla to build out a terafab? I think that Tesla would probably build a terafab. I think they will probably start building the terafab sometime in the next 2 years, and it will probably take them. Keep in mind that there's the first line of the terafab and then the other 9 lines. So getting the first line of the terafab built and producing, I think that's probably 3 years away. It will probably take 1 year to build it. Elon builds stuff fast, but still, those are hard to build. And you have to build a supply chain for it and everything. That's going to be a hard task, but it needs to be done. The area of roofs is trivial compared to land-based. There's a lot more land available. There's so much empty land in the United States. And I think, if you want to power the XAI data center in Nashville, it's a lot of cheap land in Mississippi. When all the electrical giants saw the some ROI of Australian megapack, they got back ordered. Let's see. Okay. Are there electric cars in Thailand, and what brand are they? Great question, Rebecca. Thailand has lots of electric cars. It has my Model Y. I should say my wife's Model Y. There are many BYDs in Krabi, Thailand, where we are. There is a Deepal dealer. I see many Deepals. Deepal is, I think, Chang'an Motors. BYD has another brand called Denza, a luxury brand. Xpeng, uh, Aura Good Cat is a very popular small vehicle. The BYD Dolphin is extreme. I keep seeing it. I feel like I see a BYD Dolphin every minute. BYD Dolphin is a very small city car type vehicle that you wouldn't want to take on road trips. Although we were taking a road trip yesterday, and I saw like two different BYDs making the trip across Thailand where we were going. They just don't have the range. The By the way, Warren, Elon paid a record-breaking $11 billion in federal income taxes in 2021. Absolutely. William says empty land should be farmland. Not all empty farmland is fertile, and you can in some places do solar and still farm the land. It's not as simple as that. Desert land is so ideal. VinFast is in Vietnam. It's not in Thailand. VinFast, I believe, are fundamentally uncompetitive. Like Malaysia has its own car industry, and they don't sell any cars anywhere. I think I saw one Malaysian car in Thailand in the entire time I've been here. And Malaysia borders Thailand. It's like a land border. 4680 update. We did have a 4680 update. The 4680 update was that going dry cell may have been a mistake, but they are about to start scaling 4680 production. Semi factory is getting close to done and will be producing in volume by the end of 2026. Optimus, I believe they're going to start making Optimus at scale in 2026. The cells are coming from Texas, and then they will be building 4680s in Nevada as well. Did they replace tuk-tuks? There are still tuk-tuks. I think tuk-tuks have been replaced by a lot of things, but there are still some tuk-tuks. I don't ride in tuk-tuks here in Krabi anymore. We used to ride them in Bangkok a little bit. I don't like them. So there's electric vehicles like replacing cars. There's very few electric. Thailand is filled with scooters. Probably the number one transportation method in Thailand is scooters, which are called mosai, which is motorcycles and scooters are use the same term, mosai. And unlike India, I saw a lot of electric scooters. I don't see many electric scooters in Thailand. I'm not sure why. But I think that the share of the Thai vehicle market that's EV is growing. It's not that Thailand tuk-tuks are not a scam. If you are a foreigner and you're in a tourist area, then maybe Thailand tuk-tuks are a scam. If you're a local and you're trying to get from the grocery store home with a bunch of bags, 50 baht. It's like $1.50. We paid $1.50 for like a kilometer ride back for two of us with 4 grocery bags or whatever. Thai people use them when necessary, and they are available and they are helpful. So it's not always a scam. The foreigners' experience with Thailand is not the same as the Thai experience with Thailand. So don't forget that. I'm going to be making a video about food in Thailand. I have a series of videos called the How to Thailand. I'm going to make a How to Thailand food video. That's my next video. I just thought about I need to make that video. There's foreigner food. Like we had foreigner food last night. I think we had farang food last night. Couldn't roadsides 10% be made of solar road tiles? That's too complicated. There's a lot of empty land. Use the empty land. Yes, Mosai are dangerous. Any idea when Thailand could be getting FSD or Southeast Asia in general? I talked about this earlier in the video. Thailand just rejected Starlink. And I would say based on Thailand rejecting Starlink, it is likely that Thailand will not allow FSD anytime soon. I think Thailand is shooting itself in the foot by not allowing advanced technology. I don't think we're going to see now robotaxis would be difficult to compete in Thailand because human drivers are so cheap. Same thing in Malaysia, same thing in Vietnam. We have FSD in Australia, we have FSD in China. The only reason we don't have SD is because we don't have. I think the Thai government is not making good decisions, and why would Tesla push to get FSD working in Thailand if the government is not supportive of it when you have other places that are more important? The Southeast Asian economies in general, they're important collectively, but if you have to deal with a whole bunch of individual governments who may or not be as above board as they should be. The 3 incumbent dominant telecommunications companies didn't want Starlink. because they didn't want. It's not because they were going to go bankrupt. It's just they didn't want any threats to their profits. They make huge profits. There's pressure now on the Israeli government now to prove FSD. We'll see. I don't. But Israel's a small country. So that's not the. What matters is China. What matters is the United States. Europe would matter, although I think Europe is going to lag. Japan might let FSD go. Japan is the third largest market. India, the human drivers are too cheap, so I don't think it matters as much there. Grok says Fortune Town IT Mall is best place for good cheap laptops. I have no idea. I have no idea where you would get good cheap laptops. I think things in general are inexpensive here, but laptops are not particularly inexpensive. I would buy an Apple laptop. So Jim says foreigner experience in Thailand often ends in the nudie bars. There's a massive exaggeration of the role of the adult entertainment industry, if we can call it that, in Thailand, in the Thai overall economy. It's actually another video I've been thinking about making. It's not that it's not here, but is it bigger than it is in the United States? I think it's like 1% of the economy at most, maybe significantly less than that. But it's what you hear about when you're in America. You one night in Bangkok and ladyboys, and that stuff doesn't have any impact on my daily life. I have no idea why people talk about that. I know why people talk about that stuff so much, but it's not the reality on the ground in Thailand. I mean, it makes the news in Thailand as well if something happens on the prostitution centered areas. Crazy things happen there, so that's like the salacious news that gets covered, but it's not the daily life of people in Thailand. Semi truck as a sleeper. Yeah, semi will be a big deal. It's a fairly big market. If they really ramp and if they get to take hold in China has about 4 times the market for semi that America has. I think it's not a duopoly in Thailand. I think it's a three-party oligopoly between DTAC, True, and AIS for internet access and telecoms. Good morning, Michelle. Any common or reported circular round-trip deals with NVIDIA and AI Bros? I think that's overstated. I think that there's massive demand for AI services. I'm using it all the time. This is an AI-generated image right here. Bye, B. Where's the next Megapack factory announcement? Next Megapack factory going, and when do you expect an announcement? I don't expect an announcement anytime soon. I would guess China. If I was going to build another Megapack factory and I was Tesla, I would build it in China. I would love to see Tesla build a Powerwall factory in China, frankly, but I don't know why they don't do that. MAGA Mike says prostitution is legal in Thailand. Sure it is. Lots of things are illegal. It may be illegal. That law may not be enforced much. It is enforced infrequently and probably specific. What do you call it? Prosecutorial discretion. I think there's places where they actually go after it, but it's not for the reasons you think. Are there people driving Tesla in Thailand? I drive Tesla in Thailand. I see Teslas in Thailand. Model Ys and Model 3s are growing more and more common in Thailand. We were in Surat Thani, and my wife saw a previous generation Model Y. I actually didn't see it. When I moved to Thailand, I'm buying an Isuzu FRR 210. I don't know what that is. I want to see Cybertruck here in Thailand. Cybertruck is larger than... Pickup trucks are very popular in Thailand. It is the number 2 country in the world for pickup trucks. Despite the population being substantially smaller than the US, Thailand buys a crazy amount of pickup trucks. But they're all Ford Ranger size, not Ford F-150 size, and Cybertruck is Ford F-150 size. So will they be able to get the Thai government to let them sell Cybertruck in Thailand? Be a great market for Cyber. It's expensive, right? The typical pickup truck in Thailand is a Isuzu D-Max or Toyota Hilux, which are Ford Ranger class pickup trucks, and they are $25,000, right? So Cybertruck is what, like $70,000, $80,000 before you count shipping and all that other stuff. And Thailand has massive tariffs on American-made vehicles, so unless they agree to drop the tariffs, it's not going to happen. But yeah, there's Teslas in Thailand. There's BYD. BYDs are everywhere. There's several Chinese brand EVs that are everywhere in Thailand. Oh, there's a lot more Teslas than that. You're in the wrong part of Bangkok. There's a lot more Teslas than that in Bangkok. Um, so the tariff is too high right now. This is one of those things that I'm hopeful that Trump will succeed in persuading Thailand to stop putting such heavy tariffs on American products. If you, if I want to buy something from Amazon, I will. You know, the shipping cost is there. Some things don't have heavy shipping costs or has free shipping, but the tariffs are 30%, 50%, 100% a lot of the time. So the prostitution prosecutions or arrests that happen in Thailand are usually foreigners. They don't usually arrest Thai girls for prostitution, and they don't really arrest Thai men for soliciting prostitution. They arrest foreigners, and then just very. I don't think there's a lot of arrests. Does Tesla have an office in Thailand? There is a recruiting office. Are they really hiring a Japanese Tesla? I don't know what a Japanese Tesla is. Tesla has multiple centers in Thailand, and the main center is Ramkhamhaeng. They have sales office, I think, in Chiang Mai. They have another sales office now in West Bangkok. I don't know if it's technically called West Bangkok. Um, why isn't the Powerwall 3 available at Tesla stores? The political BS we have to buy from an approved vendor is annoying. I don't know the answer to that question. I think that most Tesla stores will sell you Tesla Solar and Powerwall with it. Could Tesla put a Cybertruck factory somewhere in Asia like Australia where it would be great in the outback? I think they could put a Cybertruck factory in Korea or China. I mean, Koreans are buying Cybertruck. Um, but I just don't think the demand is high enough. Like, they're not selling in high volume in America. What are the odds it's going to sell in high volume somewhere else? I don't think they're going to invest in selling in building Cybertruck elsewhere. There are sufficient superchargers in Thailand. I wouldn't say there's a lot, but there's enough. And there's an entire charging network of CCS chargers. Tesla superchargers in Thailand are CCS. So there are sufficient superchargers, and then there's other charging options, which I don't like the other charging options, but they are there. If you go to like a big mall, there might be EV chargers, and it's a different. You have to download an app and set it up with that. I don't know about other nations emulating Australia with megapack usage. Maybe China. I don't think BYD is a paper tiger. I'm not convinced of that. I think BYD is doing a really good job of making a high volume of low cost vehicles, getting a lot of people out of gas cars. Zero effort to grow Tesla here in the Philippines. Sadly, prices are affordable. Philippines is a very poor country. Thailand's GDP per capita is about $7,000 a year. Philippines is $3,000 a year. Well, significant people have money, sort of like Bangkok here in Thailand is where people have a lot of money. It's hard to justify investing the capex and selling cars in countries where you might stop selling cars when you need all your vehicles, all the vehicles you produce to go on your Robotaxi network. I don't know that Australia would allow Cybertrucks or what the problem is, but Australia is also a Ford Ranger pickup truck country, and they don't buy as many pickup trucks as Thailand. Will Xiaomi take over BYD's place? Growing good? No, Xiaomi is a long way from catching up to BYD. I'm not convinced that Xiaomi is for real. We'll see. They're not selling in Thailand yet. Corpus Christi lithium is in pilot production. That's excellent news. Thank you, Rob. Yes, Philippines has Starlink, and it's just annoys me no end that Thailand is not getting Starlink. Thank you, Larry, for participating, for becoming a member, for your post. Again, if you haven't seen it, Larry Goldberg was in the chat. Larry Goldberg posted this article on X. See if you can find it and bookmark it. And then when somebody starts telling you that Elon doesn't do anything for America, read this and talk and explain this to them. This is critical understanding for being able to respond to people who say Elon doesn't do anything for people. Elon is a critic, and it's not just Elon. You could say the same thing about Bezos. You could say the same thing about Zuckerberg. These entrepreneurs create massive value in our economies. And Jensen Huang, they are very, very important for our economies. So, all right, we've gone over an hour. It is my bedtime. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you to Mark and Jim for moderating the chat. I don't think there's been a lot of moderation work, but I appreciate you guys doing it. And please, again, please consider supporting me on one of the various platforms, so you can check out Tesla Option Strategy video, or just because you like what I do. Support me as a YouTube channel member, support me on Patreon, support me as a subscriber on the X platform, support me on the Daily Live or redlick.locals.com. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Have a great, I guess it's morning for you guys, so have a great day. Bye-bye.